Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Immigrant Section. It's your boy Abbas Wahab, as always, saying what the fuck is going on. As always, wherever you're watching, smash that subscribe right there. You know the gist. If you're on Apple, Spotify, Google, plus follow, all that, so you can find out when these episodes drop. Again, it is Tuesday, but click that button nevertheless. And enough of all that. Sitting across from me today,
Hi.
The legend.
Hey,
You're not supposed to talk yet. Jordan Policicchio, what's poppin', doggy?
man, we got comedy back. We did a show. Did you see last night they did the show? At the
They
Garden?
still did it?
Well,
It
yeah,
rained.
because it rained all day, but there was a nice...
There was a couple hours of sun.
And it gets hot.
So they did the show still.
Yeah, and it was packed. It was nice to see that people go out.
Did you go up?
No, I didn't go out. I
Okay.
didn't go to the show. I was... when I figured it was going to rain, I designed my day around that.
Yeah.
So I stopped.
Everyone knew it was gonna rain. Every now and the weather forecast can't be trusted, but for some reason Friday was like 90% rain, and the show was like, we're canceling Thursday. They're like, we're canceling tomorrow. I was on some other guy's park show. It's all park shows, but he's like, yeah, we're canceling it, moving it to Saturday. Blah blah blah. Everyone knew the rain was coming.
Listen to this.
Okay, got that.
You know when they go 30% chance of rain?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it might rain and that there's a 30%, like it's a nice day. And
It doesn't mean exactly that.
No. It doesn't mean that like there's a nice day and it's 30% chance off of the nice day that it might rain. It's that it's going to rain and that 30% in a given area.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
So when they hit you with a percentage, rain is guaranteed somewhere.
Yeah.
Huh? I had no idea. I thought that meant.
Neither did I.
Oh shit, dude! You're on that meteorology shit now.
Well, my girlfriend is, she's very good with these like really odd facts. Like she just like she could sit
You
down.
told me she would handle Jeopardy.
She does.
Yeah.
She was playing it the other day. Like while we were watching somebody play, and this guy was really good. And there was one round where she was like, she would have won. She would have won.
Like actually,
Yeah, straight up.
did she grow up watching all that shit? How do you
She's just
accumulate?
smart.
Like, is
First
she,
of all, women are just intelligent.
true, absolutely.
Off the top, women are very
Emotionally,
smart. They're just
when
smart.
it comes to fighting and racing cars, man, and fucking just fucking, man, it's us, bro. Bro, wallahi, man, it's us. We are number one, dog.
Yeah, we're definitely we could definitely like maybe tackle a bear, you know, and that's our move
and then
for
get
sure.
mauled.
But I don't know, the logic. Like I think about my reactions to things way different than she does. Like I guess, kind of aggressive, even if it's passive aggressive. You know what I mean?
You're very aggressive, by
Yeah.
the way. And not yeah. Let that sink in for a sec.
I'm very aggressive.
Not in the traditional sense of like, oh, I'm gonna, that guy bumped into me, I'm gonna fight that guy.
Yeah,
you know,
no.
not like a pride point of view, but the point of view of like, you will step right into someone's, like, you're the type of guy that like, if you worked at a Best Buy, someone employee would come up to you and stand 1 foot away from you. Is there anything I can do for you? You're like, no, dude, you're like, you're
Absolutely.
too close.
You're too
You're
close.
that type of aggressive, where it's nice aggressive,
Yeah.
but it's aggressive.
Yeah, I think I'm carrying my line around with me. You know what I mean? It's like, there's my line. Don't cross it. But I will sometimes put my line behind you.
Yeah, oh yeah,
You
dude.
just like automatically cross it no matter what.
Remember the Chappelle where he goes, he would say, where Charles Murphy goes, he would step the line habitually. He was a habitual line stepper. Yeah. Like you're a habitual
I'm
private zone enterer.
I said that to my buddies the other day. We have a chat group, and I said,
It cuts to you just whispering right in his ear.
yeah, like I said to my friend, I said, when it's going good for you, I like to turn it into the wall. Like when we're joking around and everyone's laughing, I'm like, oh, I like to throw the joke into a wall.
What does that mean? What do you mean throw it into a wall?
I don't know. I think I look at the comedy of everything. So when we're joking around in a big group of people, sometimes I like to just turn the bit right into the floor. Like, let's see how funny it is. Do you know what I mean? So if somebody's
that's
joking
an
around,
anarchist. You're an
yeah,
anarchist.
it's just like, I don't know why, but it's funny to me. And over the years, I've definitely had to turn down its annoyance. Do you know what I mean? Like before, when I was a kid, I would just do it. Like, holy shit, what are you doing? Like
at the expense of everything?
sort of, yeah. Especially in class when I was growing up.
Oh,
in class.
dude, same.
Like
same.
if the teacher was doing something, I knew that whatever the opposite of that would be funny.
Or would be at least jarring.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
which is a step towards the direction you're going.
I just want a reaction.
Yeah.
And
Bro, that's what I don't get.
Yeah.
See, I'm of the mindset that the class clowns were the ones not getting attention at home. And I know you were very loved.
yes, oh yeah.
You have like a very like pampering mother.
Yeah.
Lots of attention at
I
home.
should be-
So how were you the class clown too? That's what I'm confused about. Me, I'm just trying to unpack all this psychology shit.
Well, I should have really been screwed, like coming to the city, because the way my mom raised me was very like sheltered, and yeah, like I shouldn't have been able to really do okay without her, because it was like she was all over me all the time, and she loves me, but I think it's just I have so much energy that I was flying around at home, but in this contained my mom's world.
Yeah.
As soon as I got out of it, I was like, oh, authorities, I don't respect any authority. And let's go and make this like a mess.
Let's get some attention, essentially.
Let's get some attention.
God damn, man. And I can remember some of your early bits you're talking about, like, your shit reminds me exactly of Sebastian. Like, you would actually, did you ever take silverware to school for lunch?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is that an Italian thing, or is it just your family thing?
It's like a pride thing. So my family was, my grandfather and my nana were really, well, my grandfather was really rich.
Yeah.
He was like the number one salesman for Prudential.
I don't even know who they are.
And back in the day, well, I think they're still around, but it's like an investment in life insurance business.
Okay.
So, and not such a great story, but they got.
Did he pass away?
He abandoned them. He kicked my grandmother out in the middle of the night with like 4 kids, pregnant with the 5th. So they went from being very wealthy to very poor, and I kind of grew up off of that story.
Wait, this happened in Italy, or this is Canada?
This is in Canada.
Jesus.
He had like a restaurant, and he had like a driving school, and
This is just off the fucking papers divorce situation? Like, how does
no, like he had just had another family. Like he had 2 families.
This is that which is common as fuck. In these
Europeans-
old, not even European.
Yeah.
I know my buddy's his dad worked in China a lot. Had another family.
In
My
China.
buddy Lebanese, his dad worked in like the Middle East a lot. They're all in Canada. Had another family. Yeah. Like, it's so common for you to be like, you're not gonna come here with me, or like, you're not gonna be here with me while I'm making money for you guys. Well, just know I have needs, and I'm gonna start another family out here.
Have you ever seen the show Billions?
No, but I know that rat guy.
Okay, so in the show Billions, there's this guy, forget his character's name because I haven't seen it in the show in a while, but it gets exposed that he has 2 families, and the whole show is a balance between these like firms, the investment firms, and the government. And the one character has 2 families, so he's trying to like leverage that against him, right? So the guy just tells his other family, he's like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to tell the family that I have another family and just fund them both. Well, in real life, the guy actually picks at some point. And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, it always goes.
It always goes that way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened, and then that's kind of why my mom, I think, was so, oh my god, on top of me, because.
So you guys were not the family chosen.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just so I have the details clear.
In a box. That was exactly what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So they went, but the thing is, they went from like being really wealthy to having no money at all, like literally no money at all.
So then the silverware thing ties into that.
Yeah, I think it's like a point of pride that you have things. And actually, what's funny, I was coming on this podcast, I was thinking about that, like, like what makes somebody an immigrant? And I was listening to your podcast and thinking about that. It's like, I'm raised by immigrants. Like, those people came from another place, and it's hard. It was hard as fuck for them. And I remember, like my grandfather. Obviously, I didn't know him very well because and then later on, he passed away. But my dad's dad, my father who raised me, his father, same thing, like building houses and just not having a good shake at it and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's interesting to realize your story, especially through comedy, because we're trying to figure out how to be funny. And the more personal you make stuff, even if it's like kind of a weird story, the more personal you make it. And I'm realizing that, oh shit, those parts of who I am are endearing if I know how to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something nice about getting, like, rejection is inevitable in comedy.
Oh, yeah.
There's something easy about getting rejected when you tell people your truth from your family point of view. If you tell them a funny idea you have and they reject you, you're like, fuck, I'm not funny. Whereas if you tell them a story about how you grew up and they don't like it, you're like, fuck you. That's how I grew up. Yeah, like I don't like fuck this crowd, like type shit.
Yeah.
But if it's like something you engineered, like, oh, that's a great angle of a funny observation, and then when it gets dismissed, it hits harder. Just because it's loose, it's not actually tied to you in any sort of way. That's why you gotta pull from the personal shit.
I know.
Because then at least you're standing on your own too, so to speak. Like you're speaking from your truth, and you're almost more like invincible that way.
That's why it's funny to think of us in the beginning. Like we're still in the beginning of it in a lot of ways, but to think of us at Whalers and trying to run around at Yuck Yucks and just some of the stuff and the way we would present it. Now looking back at it, not that I'm like way better, but having experience in the game, even just from acting, like I get why you need time in, you know? It's like I need to be able to objectively be like, oh yeah, what I was doing before wasn't good. Not like I'm killing it now, but I get why it wasn't good. Like I've talked to enough people that are doing good shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, I wasn't setting it up right.
The worst part about that realization is you know that what you're doing right now, in a couple of years, you're gonna just fucking like, it's gonna run a chill down your spine. You're like, ugh, it's gonna make you like just cringe. You know what I mean? Like it happens. It's cyclical. You're never happy. Like performed 2 days ago, I'm just like, fuck, why did I say that line? Like even when you're confident that you're at a point where you're like, and this is actually a good question too. When you tell people how long you've been in it, do you include COVID years? How long you been doing stand-up? I'm like, that's a good question.
It's like you're reading my mind. I was thinking about that today too. I was like, do we include this?
I'm fucking including it.
I mean, why not? I think about it as when I started to identify and be identified as a comedian, which is like, I was still a comic to people in COVID. And I think that's kind of what this whole thing is about. Like, I would love to make money and be able to sustain my life fully with just comedy, but I'm still a comedian, you know, like there's other people that don't ever go on stage and tell jokes and get laughs. So we're comics no matter what.
100%. And the irony of it in my case is that more people know me in a comedy space during COVID than they ever did accumulated through me being at mics and shows and 100%. Whatever. Because I actually reached out my tentacles online-wise. So, of course, I'm going to count those years, and fuck it. If you got something against that, you can suck my dick.
You know what I like? I really think is good because all the personas in comedy are gone. Like, for example, the hierarchy was like persona-based. If you thought somebody was, you know, oh my God, they performed on Sirius XM and they came in the top 5, you just put them in a certain category. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's kind of gone now because a lot more people are more open to talk to everybody because you hadn't talked to anybody in a while.
It's pretty much like an ice age happened.
Sort of.
And now it's gone and the sun is showing again.
Yeah.
And whoever survived is kind of coming out, surfacing from the deep forest and underground and shit. And it resets all hierarchies.
And I think that for people like you and I specifically that were in that like, okay.
We're low tier, let's be honest.
But we were just starting to get, you know, hey, can you come and do this? And just starting to get into that. Whereas like I was really stressed about that kind of stuff because you're always worried about like, oh, you got other things on your mind. And COVID stopped it and it was like, oh, I was doing it because I just wanted to make people laugh. And then there was this whole community around it.
Oh, politics to the max. The politics have reset completely. Gone. And they will rebuild in a new form of politics. But like they've totally reset. And what did I tell you the first show we came back at that park show?
I forget.
I'm like, bro, we leveled up.
Yeah, we did.
Just by being around and doing some sort of being creative in this pandemic and lockdown time, in the absence of a stage, we have leveled up.
Well, also people are like, if you think of the original people, like there's a kinship to things. So when you go back to comedy and it's like the first few shows back and it's the same 10, 15 people, if that person's a higher level than you, there's a kinship that he has or she has with the person that's like, you were here, you wanted this in a way that you understood in the beginning. Because everybody's got different feelings in like every episode. You know what I mean? And that's what drives it. And that's kind of what's funny about, that's really what matters is can you just, you know, implore an empathy so that people give you a shot because you've been practicing this thing called acting or comedy and you just want to try it in a cool spot and see if you can do it.
For people who don't know stand-up, these shows starting back up right now feel exactly like, September when you come back to grade 10 or 11 and you just walk in and you're going to see and you may see the grade 9s who are now grade 10s. Like you kind of know some faces and you're expecting to see your friends. This is exactly how it felt. Everyone was talking about what they did in summer.
Yeah.
Some people got held back. You know what I mean? Like there's all this shit, like all these details that you're just trying to iron out. Like where is everyone? Seeing old faces. It's fucking great, man. It's like a straight up reunion.
And the audience is like
desperate for comedy. Desperate for
it's either laugh. But I don't know, like, because for example, I watched you and obviously we know we're talking about it before, like we're nervous to go because we haven't done it in a while, but the bits are right, the timing's good, they're there to have fun, like they want to do it. It's yes, they really want it, but at the same time it's not as like stressful and transactional as I feel like it used to be. Where I was like, this is gonna help me do something. It's more just like I have these jokes. I've been practicing performing for X amount of time. Let's see how it is.
And you know what else has changed big time? I've taken my mindset, and I think a lot of comedians have done this as well. It's because I can't exit COVID and this pandemic having learned nothing.
Yeah.
And I used to prioritize
100%.
comedy. I was just fucking obsessed. Comedy's number one priority in every scenario. If you are not doing that show, don't look at me, bro. You clearly don't want it enough, and you're not going to run with my team because my team, we want comedy over everything.
Yeah.
But now, Friday, I'm booked on a show. It's due to rain, 90%. That means 90% of areas are going to rain.
That's our show, right?
No. No, that's next Friday. I'm talking about yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I was booked on a park show in Cedarville Park. They said it's Thursday. It's going to rain tomorrow. We're moving the show to Saturday. Are you available Saturday? Today, I'm going to my buddy's barbecue out in Cambridge, right? So my old self would have been like, yeah, I'm 100%. I'll make it Saturday. And I'll twist everything so I don't like have a drink and like I'm ready to dip at any point. But now I'm like, no, I'm a write-off Saturday. I don't want to be at a barbecue and being like, I have a thing in like a couple hours. Like I'm going to go and enjoy myself. And before the idea of me saying no to that spot would in my head somehow conflate with you've quit comedy.
Yeah.
You don't want it enough. People are gonna pass you. There's all this like straight up like anxiety of just wanting it enough. That's now I'm like, no man, what the fuck? Sunday I'm gonna do a spot. Monday I'm gonna we're booking stuff like. I'm done with that thing of being like, if I don't say yes to every single thing, I'll never make it.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm done with that shit.
And what's funny about that is I was just in an acting class and we were, you know how actors are.
You're going ham with the acting. I love it.
Yeah.
You're a good actor too.
Trying to be.
Oh yeah. You're killing it.
Thank you.
I mean, you're actually a dick, and now people think you're okay. Like this guy's pretty good. He's acting. I learned this yesterday.
You know how people trying to be good at something can be, right? Where you're like, anytime you watch yourself do it, you're like, wow, that was so bad. Like even if it was okay. So everyone kind of at the end of the class was like, how do you get better at this? And with hat in hand, everyone was like,
hat in hand,
just very like,
please, sir, I want some more.
Please tell me, like, are we gonna make it? Are we gonna be good? Because you want that crystal ball experience where an actor is like, you're great. We can't wait for you.
Yeah.
And all she was saying was, hey, you want to be good at this? Have a cool life. I
love it.
Have a life that is relatable. Like, oh, maybe you ride horses for a summer, or maybe you do something random, and because. Not for a role, just to be able to draw from experience.
It's just someone's like, oh, for a role.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Don't go into archery.
Oh, for a role. Yeah.
No. Audition,
For
I can
you.
arch. I can shoot darts. You know what I mean? But the same thing what you're saying about comedy is like, that's why I think people are laughing more at this garden, because everybody for the first time has had the same experience. Flat. We were all locked down. So more people are relating to that. And that's why people are laughing so much, is because we're all talking about the same thing through our lens. Like you had a different lockdown than I did, but we still had a lockdown.
Yes, there was an overlapping period, overlapping experience that everyone understands, and it needs to be addressed. That's the thing that now here's the new question. How long, because now every time someone gets on stage, pretty much everybody has to have COVID material. We have to have pandemic material. I have to tell you about my pandemic, what I learned. you could totally avoid the pandemic, but it's like a fart being in the room that you're not addressing, right?
Did you watch Bo Burnham Inside?
I watched like half of it. Incredible.
So he doesn't say the words COVID or pandemic one time, right?
Not that I picked up on.
Yeah. So something that's actually taught me a lot is like you can infer that you've had a pandemic experience without actually saying the words pandemic, which actually makes it more, broad for people. Like you being in a state where you had a realization because it was the pandemic, you don't have to say, in lockdown, I realized it's like, I'm realizing more about myself.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand. Same thing. I get that, but at the same time, I feel like there is a period now that stand-up is starting, and Canada's way. I feel like in the States, you could already be back to normal. Like there's already been that 3-month buffer of being like COVID, and then the audiences don't really need you to address this weird thing that happened because it's been addressed for a couple months. Whereas Canada, we just allowed gatherings like a fucking 8 days ago, right?
Yeah.
So everyone needs it to be addressed. And I'm wondering how many months is it going to take before I can just get up and just talk about do a literally pre-COVID act and it's just as fresh. Because right now I can't go into pre-COVID stuff without at least being like, pandemic or not. You don't have to say pandemic, but these times, crazy times. You know what I mean?
I think a part of it is that we all have to surrender that there's no really going back. Like, this is always going to be a launching period for something for like the next few years. So it'll be a long time before you feel like that, where you're like, oh yeah, like I'm not talking about it like that anymore. But like, because it's going to be tied to COVID seems to be that like thing as it, not fake is the wrong word, but as if this is a comic book. Like as soon as we get through that first villain, the next villain is everything we couldn't really deal with in the first villain.
Okay.
The writing is like, so if the joke,
we'll save it for that one. Next one.
Like, so this one is like, it lasts longer in the sun, and you're like, what? Like, how is it the opposite of the last time? And that's what's weird is there's this balance of what our reality is. It's like a push pull. Like you can't go here, so people just go there, kind of thing. And that is going to be the way it's going to be. Like not necessarily telling your jokes in the context of a pandemic-less reality.
Damn, that was some hot. You answered that like head on. I love that.
I've been interviewing.
When you end it with pandemic-less reality, I'm like, what?
Well, I've been interviewing for these jobs.
Yeah.
So when
you are in interview mode right now.
Well,
first of all, let me just say your posture is great.
Trying my
right?
shoulder. I'm for my shoulder.
Yeah, your posture is great. So right away, I want to hire you. This guy's got good posture. I read a great book where it was like, this was like a managerial book. It's by a billionaire who is the owner of Bridgewater, or I forget. It's just some private equity firm or some shit. It's called Principles.
Okay.
Principles for
by Ray Dalio.
Ray Dalio. Yeah. The one point he made in there, which I think Nazim Taleb said, which is like some statistician, fucking high level writer. He goes, if you have two candidates who are equally gifted, choose the one who is less charismatic. Because he got there without charisma. I'm like, oh shit, we're fucked, dude. We're fucked.
But you know what?
You gotta tone the charisma down and still try to like.
I would say that most of the time they actually go with the charisma.
Because intuitively you want to go with charisma.
Yeah.
People aren't that robotic that are like, I like this one a lot more. They both seem to be like, because the reality is the client or whoever you deal with is more times than not gonna also gravitate toward the charisma, right?
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. But who knows? Maybe just on like an email level, the one who's less charismatic who got there without that is actually better off. But
I would challenge that in saying that
you got to tone it down, though.
But charisma,
tone it down, dog.
Charisma is a skill set. Like when we're talking when we're talking about the shows, right? And I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this. I say Abbas has more of the tentative approach.
Damn, you talking about me? Oh shit,
of course.
These niggas, still though. Okay, sorry, keep going. Keep going. I'm sorry about that.
You have a more tentative approach, right? You want to be like, okay, let's get this first thing in the bag, and we'll do it like this. And I want to do
all of it
at once. And there's a part of it where those are very good for each other. So being charismatic is like an element that does drive you forward. So where I challenge is like you pick the guy with less charisma. Is like skill is only so much. And I think the reason people gravitate towards charisma is because there's a set of decision making that happens when you're like under the gun. And that's what charisma is.
Exactly. It's
how
that
you handle
your clutch ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially what this book is saying, and I love Ray Dalio, he's so smart, but it's like he's obviously on the side of less charisma because to not at least appreciate the balance, it's still a practice skill.
But keep in mind, he wants to create a regimented process to be applied for all the hiring of like a big corporation.
Yeah, you can't
right?
find the A type.
So like, everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Like on a case-by-case basis, I'm telling you, probably 90% of the time, people gravitate toward charisma, even in the scenario where the charismatic person is substantially more skilled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you want to iron out and create a process that is can be applied en masse, then it has to be the ideal. And the logic behind that makes sense. They're both the same, but this one, let's say, that has 70% of the skill. That extra 30% is charisma. Then you want to go with this person, but then you can't teach this person charisma, whereas you can teach this person that gap in skill set, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to teach this person charisma? You met non-charismatic people. What fucking course are you going to put them into?
Yeah, you really have, like, actually, a good example of my brother is an engineer.
Is your brother an engineer?
I have a brother who's an engineer, civil engineer. And it's not that he's not charismatic. It's just that's not the strongest foot forward. So when he started his own business and we were talking about how you engage people to like sell to them and whatever. And it's so interesting how his first thing is like the technical offering. But where I'm like, you just got to get to talk to somebody. You're having a conversation with somebody and then eventually you're going to solve a problem for them.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's where charisma, that's the difference.
One of my best friends, Jawad, is a shout out to my boy. If you live in London and you want to get a Range Rover, Range Rover and Jaguar.
London Range Rover.
Sales manager that this guy earned the hell out of it. But this guy's taught me a lot in the field of sales, where it's like, I agree with you, the same. People, when it comes to sales, people want to be sold a lifestyle, a dream before the thing itself.
Yeah.
You know, he sells them literally like a dream of the thing rather than like, because to be honest, and like any car lover knows, when it comes to fucking like, when it comes to reliability, Range Rover's low on the list, bro. They are not high. They do not compare with Mercedes, BMW, Audi, right? But why are they so plentiful on the road? Because there's a status symbol thing connected with Range Rover. Think of a hip hop. In the Range truck. No one ever is like, I'm in the Q8 pulling these bitches. You know, you're in the Range truck. There's something related to status with that. So it's like, you're not selling the people on like the technical attributes of it because it loses in a lot of these fields. You're selling them the lifestyle that they want. Like they're coming in with the idea of what they will be down the road with this Range Rover, and you sell them a reflection of that. I used to think it was like, I'll give you the best price. This is the best car, and that's how you get the sale. It's like, no, I'm going to hear you. I'm going to respond in a way that makes you feel heard. So right away, you feel comfortable with me as a salesperson. You don't feel like you're getting gypped. You don't feel like you're being cheated. So right away, they go, okay, all right. So I like this person. I don't want to let this, part of you goes, I don't want to let this salesperson down. You know what I mean?
Like to an extent, yeah.
To a tiny part, 100%. A tiny part.
No,
I like
sometimes even a lot. Like I remember when my girlfriend was buying a car. She did have that where she was like, oh, I had this agreement with this person. It's like, it's your money.
Yeah.
You don't owe this guy nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And women's are more susceptible to that.
Yeah. They appreciate the experience more.
My girlfriend wanted to go buy a bike. We ended up at some old Asian guy's garage who lived in a suburb. He's like, oh, I just moved here. It's like, fuck you didn't just move here. Look at this house, bro. You've been here at least a decade. He's got 30 super cycles in his fucking garage.
Found those.
Right? He's just fixing them. He goes, right away, as soon as my girlfriend goes in, I'm waiting in the car. She tells me after. He goes, oh, my daughter's handicapped. She's in the basement. I'm saving money for her. Right away, red flag. For me, that's a red flag right away. For her, she's like, oh, no, I have to kind of buy something now, right?
Yeah.
The bike she wants to get doesn't work. It's not big enough for her. So what does the guy do? Goes, oh, okay, try this one. And then she goes, she kind of rides it. It's okay. And she comes up to me and she's like, it's kind of good. I'm like, we don't have to leave here with a bike. Yeah. What are you doing? He sold her on supporting this quote unquote handicapped daughter. So in her mind, she has to support him somehow. I'm like, you came for the bike. It's not good. Let's get the fuck out of here.
And the way those dudes maneuver there's something that they sense, like that they pick up on when you're not
Like
going to leave.
that mother
Or
thing.
just like the best way to describe it is if you're in like Mexico or Cuba or Jamaica and you're walking through those places where there's like, hey, I have bags.
We
bags.
have 2 seconds to
And
get your
as
attention.
soon as they got your attention, they know how to keep it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what about this?
What about this? There's a lot of movement. It's dynamic.
Yes.
And immigrants at the highest level I've ever seen was fucking. I went to Khana Khalili, which is like a market in Cairo, Egypt. Bro, this guy was fucking. This market guy was English, Arabic, German, like the languages these market people know in capital cities of like worldwide tourist locations. These are the most like linguistically advanced people, bro, because they don't just know like the written, they know the speaking language.
Because they're selling all day.
They're selling, bro. They just kept switching. I'm like, oh my god.
And here's
these
the
guys.
thing. This is why they get people like this. It's because, you know, when somebody's they start working at Range Rover and they start working there and they say, oh, I'm not doing so well. They're like, okay, well, let me shadow you. And then they'll probably find that person's like, the Range Rovers are the best, you know, and this and that. Well, a lot of people don't think they deserve the best thing. So that's really to be considered. Like when you start to market
It's a
yourself,
self-image thing.
Yeah, it's like
you got to line yourself
best.
up with where you think you're at.
Yeah, where Apple's a great example. Apple's the best in a lot of ways, engineering and all the things that they do and the way they're a company. And there's a lot of things that make them the best.
Design, we'll put design first.
And the
engineering debatable, but
effort that goes into like the box even and just everything. It's like the whole experience is really, really awesome. They never say that. They let you feel that and experience it. So you want it again and again. Whereas Microsoft delivers this like, this is really functional.
These are all the reasons why this is great.
Yeah, this is really functional. This is great. You're going to love it. It does whatever you need. And people are just like unimpressed by that.
Yeah.
Because you and it are the same.
Yeah.
And I have to feel the same thing that the Apple gives me. So when people say, oh, Apple's like the status play, it's more than that. It's like, it's able to capture the personality of the experience. 100%.
And going towards the engineering stuff, having worked with a lot of Apple engineers back in the Silicon Valley days, and a lot of Apple, the company I worked at was led by Apple executives. So I understood the power of Apple. Apple has such high volume, they are fucking Nazis when it comes to their supply base. Their supply chain, dude, they fucking beat them. If you want our business, you will do exactly as I say. If you want a 50 million unit volume a year from us, which is like a lot of places will just survive on Apple business. You know, like I'm talking about suppliers.
Yeah.
You will give us exactly what we want as far as quality checks. You will give us exactly what we want as far as dimensionals. That's why that's how you get that suction feel. Like I put it, isn't it funny? It's so like counterintuitive. I put a box in front of you that has a all white box with a little silver Apple logo, and it says iPhone 8. And I put another box here, the comparable. We'll say, what's Google's phone again?
The Pixel.
The Pixel. Pixel 6. The Pixel 6. Now the box, all the specs. It has both three angles of the
Colorful.
Colorful. It has everything you want to know. Why is it we gravitate towards the all white one that says nothing really? Because it's a mystery. You know what I mean? And then when you pull this, it opens right up. When you pull this, there's a fucking suction. There's a resistance as you slide up. And you're like, damn, the fact that there's pressure means that nothing happened. There's an implied quality. Like, oh, this never got opened in logistics. Nothing moved in here. Look at how solid it is. This is a solid thing.
Yep.
And when you open it up, that's what you're saying. The experience not only like lines up with people's personalities, but it actually has an implied quality to just the feeling of it.
Yeah.
They go crazy with surface blemishes. Like their level of like assessing design for what they call customer facing portions. So packaging. The packaging team is a whole fucking team, bro. Apple goes crazy with these people.
That's why these people are so crazy about the car, because they know that they're probably spending...
What, Apple car?
An Apple car. They know that they're going to spend a lot of time on why a person buys a car at a certain price point.
You're right. They're going to have a whole new approach to cars. They're going to have the iPod wheel. You know what I mean? They're going to wheel the car somehow. It'll probably have a big wheel or some shit.
Did you see I sent you the new F-150, electric F-150.
Yeah, I watched that video.
That thing is like just where cars are going is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Like I've been saying this for a
Powering
year.
your
It's
house.
inevitable. It's the better species. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
It's just you need the infrastructure to catch up. In like Canada, you know, in the States on the West Coast, you're pretty good with a Tesla or electric car. You
It
need
just
like
gets cold here.
yeah, and the mileage drops like 30%. My buddy's got a Tesla, and he says that in the winter it does drop quite a bit. But these are like
You got to
I
test
mean,
it.
Yeah, exactly. You go like think about it. It just when you think about the fact we're so used to going to a station, and by the way, I'm gas all the way just because of like, why do you listen to vinyl over an MP3 player? You know what I mean?
I don't.
Yeah, you don't spit, but why do people do that? I mean, you may not appreciate the
I
difference
do
of
appreciate it, I just don't
but
have
that
the means.
static you hear in the medium between notes and songs is just like, oh, it feels like warmth.
It is
That's the
cool.
car, the rumble, the life of an internal combustion motor has a life. It's like we've gotten it to the point, we've evolved it to a fucking organism, right? And then we have the electric motors. It's kind of like neutered. It's like neutered, even though it's better in every way. Again, it's better in every way, almost on a technical, but it's like a neutered experience. You know what I mean? And
I don't know if it is.
but it's better. It's better in every way. That's the reality. It's better in every way. And and we're so quick to forget that we literally pull up with our cars to gas stations and fill up a tank with a liquid we burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're filling up a tank with 50 liters of this thing.
Burnable.
Of gasoline, and then the car fucking pistons go up, it sprays a little bit, and it explodes. Like, but it's like so efficient we don't realize it. But of course, electricity is gonna win this. Of course,
Yes.
electricity is gonna win this. You know what I mean? But I can tell that Ferrari and a lot of these supercars, there's still gonna be a small market share of people that will still be creating internal, probably like hybrid, but like these type of cars, because there's going to be like enthusiasts who are going to be wanting gas for a long time. And I don't think we're just going to be sticking around with what we have right now. Like your Camry is going to be the only gas thing in 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like it's appreciating like crazy.
Well, I think that people just whatever you got first is so valuable. So like your experience with the car being gas first and that whole bunch of your life where think of somebody who's like in their 40s right now. They're going to think about getting an electric truck. You're either somebody who cares about tech and you're really into it. You're like, wow, I want the huge screen. I want to be able to do stuff. Or you're like, no, this is a truck. I work in it. Like it's whatever. You know, I want it to have some grit to it. Electric feels lighter. It feels like more polished.
Have you driven an electric? Have you driven a Tesla or an electric car?
No.
When you drive it, bro,
It's amazing.
It's not that it's amazing. It's just clearly the evolved species. There's no comparison.
Well, of course.
There's no comparison. You know what it is? The only reason for me I'm like, fuck that, is because let's say I want to go to Montreal. Okay, now I have to find like the specific spots that I can charge. What's the time to charge? Like 30 minutes to get this. All these like little weird things with charging speed. These are the only things holding me back. And the fact that I'm not in the market for a new car to begin with, right? We've built gasoline to the point it's fucking every 2 minutes away. You fill your whole tank up in 4 minutes. Once we reach that level with gas, no brainer. There's no conversation. Torque immediately. Speed, like off of 1 or 2 motors, it'll beat fucking like Ferraris in like 0 to 60 in a lot of these specs, right? But like I said, there's just this. I mean, Rogan loves all this shit. Like he's
Why,
talking about manual,
he's
like
like-
fucking naturally
He's
aspirated.
50, right? He's an
Yeah.
older guy. Like that makes sense why they're so like.
But it's
I-
visceral. It's like this thing is alive.
But think about this for a second.
Shit.
I've never owned a car. You
Yeah.
have, okay?
Many.
The first car that I ever buy for myself might be an electric car just based on the timing. So like my experience with it is so different from like my dad. My dad would.
You just wouldn't trust it. The older generation.
Yeah, it's just not where you think it's going to go. Because back in the day, if you had a lot of electronics in your car, your vehicle, that was the first thing that went. You're like power windows, and you had to take the thing off.
And if you have a Volkswagen now, it's still the case.
It's still the
You know
case.
what I mean?
You're like, oh shit, these electronics aren't the best. You're like, you mean the whole car's going to rely on that? Yeah, I don't know about that. So that's where the mentality comes from. But then you look at a Tesla, you're like, holy shit, this is a thing for the future.
I mean, but think about it. Like, think about fucking electric train. Think about.
I was just looking
think
into
about
the-
a fucking
looking into the
MRI.
trains.
Think about how many things we trust inherently that have nothing to that are like purely electrical mechanisms that we have full trust with. But when you put 4 wheels on it, suddenly, oh, give me the gas. Give me that gas, baby. And like
Wow.
I said, again, I'm just saying it's the evolved species. There's no comparison. I drove the fucking Model S, dude, and I'm not like, Tesla, get a Tesla. I'm just talking about electrical drivetrains. I drove a Model S by like regular cars. It felt like they were in a horse and buggy, bro. Felt like they were in a horse and buggy.
That's crazy.
You know? No lag and torque. It's all available right away. It's like
that's
no
funny.
transmission gear changes. You're like, damn. Like we built a lot of systems around that little gas combustion organism to make it as seamless and utilitarian as possible. But when you introduce the electrical drivetrain, it just makes so much more sense.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what's funny about trains and shit is because people pay to have a mentality forward, like gas and stuff, and like the way people think about cars, because it's just about where the money comes from. So there's a lot of money in people having been driving these cars for so long, because now you're talking about trains. Like there's no infrastructure for trains in like North America, where you look at China and Europe and stuff. They have
way more advanced. Yeah,
they have way more advanced trains. Why? Is because there's not huge conglomerate companies trying to run the market, you know, and have everybody in a car. That literally happened. Like GM, they bought all these trains and they derailed them to pave the road, so have people buy the cars.
To
so
incentivize
it's like,
cars.
It's just not, you know, the jump. We could have already been there with these electric cars. It's not like the technology is just now getting.
No. Electric cars. See, again, I've said this before, but when they made electric cars, like in the '90s, Toyota, fucking Honda, they've been making this shit for like
Forever.
20 or like 2, 3, 4 decades.
Yeah.
They just always had some weird styling with it. You know, we weren't ready with it. Even
Super
the infrastructure is
sharp in the
not
middle.
even. Yeah, there's always the back wheel was always half covered, like the CRV or sorry, not the CRV, the CRX or whatever the fuck it is. They always were like immediately. You're like, oh, that looks weird. I bet you that's electric.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be. And then Tesla came and was like, oh, we're gonna style it relative to what is a nice sedan by current modern day practices, and then make it look a little different. So it's obviously its own thing. But they didn't fucking cover the back wheel and do some crazy shit like Future, like
it's a
the
Wesley
fucking
Snipes
BMW
movie.
i8. Yeah, exactly. You know, like they didn't do that, and that's what I think that was part of their huge success. Like I don't see BMW i3s all over the road.
And
In
that
China, they're
i8
big, I
is
think.
that i8. I think they let it go now.
The i8's a write-off, bro. I sat in the i8.
cool,
It's the
but-
fucking weirdest, most awkward way to get into a car I've ever seen.
Yeah? So
dude,
low,
It's a
I bet.
foot. It's not even that it's low. It's not even that it's low. A buddy of mine has a Lamborghini. Way easier to get in. The i8, when you open the door, there's like between where you're standing and getting into the seat, there's like literally 1 foot of like plastic trim that you don't know how to traverse. You're like, it was a brand new i8. I'm like, I don't want to touch the outside. It just got waxed. There's no handle. I don't understand. Like, I'm literally like, I had to do this step thing, the step where you're like doing equations in your head. You're like,
You slide
and
into
yeah,
it.
you put one leg in, you lean it.
Maybe
Dude, it
jump
was
a little
so,
bit.
I'm like, you cannot look cool coming in or out of this car. So who's getting this car? Someone who just wants the coolest design and no other reason.
And like, how many do they sell realistically?
I don't think a lot, dude.
You see it in I saw it in. The only way they make money off the cars, I think, is when you put it in movies. Like it was in one of those Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies.
Oh, yeah?
Like right away, yeah.
And you know what?
that's it.
BMW doesn't even necessarily want to make those cars profitable. They do it for market share. They do it to kind of like pave the road forward with some really future, because that's the old, like the way they do the i8 is how the 90s version of an electric car would be. Like, look at our future, look at it, you could just tell
Yeah.
it's the future.
And
That never does well.
And that BMW's doing future shit at BMW.
They almost did that. So when they announced their electric line, which kind of has a bit of futuristic stuff, it doesn't look that crazy because the i8 had all the crazy shit.
Yeah.
Now, like, they're like, look at all this crazy shit. It's on the road. Now everything we release is like pretty like mid-tier relative to this fucking crazy design, I think.
Speaking of cars, when I was selling windows and doors, I ran into this old dude who's in the army. He has like an AMG Mercedes in his garage. It was really nice. And we're just talking about it wherever. And he's telling me about European cars. And that over in Europe, like American muscle cars are like sought after over there because you can't really get them. They're like
Low volume, yeah.
the low volume. They're
Yeah.
very rare. So people love them a lot, right?
Just how the Skyline is big here from Japan.
Yeah, and he's just like, but BMW over there is like shit. He's like, Mercedes is the best. He's like, if you want to show off and you try to think you have money, you buy a Jaguar. And he was telling me just literally how they all identify over there through their cars. It was interesting to think about Mercedes as like the most reliable of all the European models, because I was just like, I don't think that's necessarily how people look at it here.
Yeah, I actually
probably group them like Mercedes and BMW. I think people think those are in the same tier.
Here they say Mercedes, BMW, Audi.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Those are all the same like level, I think people think. But in Europe, I don't think it's like that.
It's a different organism over there, and it's a different market. And I don't I've been over there a bunch of times, but I don't really exactly know what the hierarchy is. All I know is you see a lot of variants you do not get here. Yeah. And a lot that I'm like, damn, we should get those here. But I guess they've assessed that the market has no appetite for it here. Yeah. Like the Audi Q1, you see the Audi Q3, Q5. There's like a little one you see all the time over there. The Audi A1, dude, it's fucking little
they tried it
compact
here, though.
thing. I'm like, damn, not A1, Q1.
They tried it here though.
Did they try the Q1?
Yeah, no, they just tried like the subcompact thing, and it was hot for a little bit, where there was a surge in like students buying these cars that were like about 18 grand. You can get them like pretty decked out. Obviously, an Audi would be a little bit more.
Yeah,
but
it'd be like the Kia version.
It doesn't translate. Now, that's why you see so many people buy SUVs.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are like,
vans are gone.
Family.
Vans are gone.
I'll get an SUV.
Yeah, vans are dead. Everyone just wants a big SUV now. It's pure SUV.
And because of COVID, the van market is probably dead, because there's not like a single parent driving like a dance team to the thing. So you don't need like a Toyota, a Caravan. You don't need a Honda van. You're like, no, I'm just bringing my kid because
like an all hands on deck scenario.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably bad for the environment.
I don't know, because I know that like a lot of car sales went up big time.
Well, used cars, inflation on used cars. Your used car right now is worth 10% more than it was last year.
Yeah. Well, my buddy, they got a used car lot next to him, and he's like, bro, used cars, it's like housing market. It's a free for all with used cars and with luxury models. I don't know exactly what's happening with more like low and mid tier. The Kias, Hyundais, Hondas, etc. But with luxury vehicles, as in the case with the Range, sales are higher than ever.
Yeah.
During COVID, it's like if you've got your hand in some sort of business or some sort of your upper middle class or upper class, we'll say financially, those people stayed just where they are. If not, they did better.
Yeah.
Whereas like all the mid tier and like people that are living just above the poverty line, so to speak, kind of got screwed because it's just all government reliance, I would imagine. So you don't see a lot of purchases of Kia Souls, but you see a lot of Range Rovers get bought.
Oh yeah, my dad I was telling my dad to get a Defender.
Yo, bro, my buddy's got the Defender right now. What do you do? The fucking Defender, man.
I love that car.
The Defender, bro. It's smaller than it looks.
It is.
If you've seen it from the back, you're like, that's a pretty thin, narrow car.
I love the style of it. I think it looks awesome.
My boy's right now. He's driving a Defender.
You're in it? You ever sit in it?
Oh yeah, I drove
nice,
it, man.
Right?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Now you got me worried. I'm gonna tell my dad. I'll be like, my buddy, his car.
It's like a novelty.
He's just it's from the war, right? They built it off
originally, yeah, those old ones. Oh, like I'm assuming he wants a new Defender.
Well, no, my dad. Well, I told him to get it because you can get like a 2020 for like 60 grand.
Yeah, like probably like the 6-cylinder, no options.
Because my dad comes from the school of like you own a car.
Yeah,
you buy it.
Yeah. You find and you buy it cash. Probably.
You buy it like that's the way you do it. Like I don't think I'll ever straight up own a car unless I'm making like millions of dollars.
If you at this point where you're at in your life, they wouldn't make sense. If you haven't bought a car thus far, owning one doesn't make any sense.
No, I mean for the novelty of it. If it's like a cool car and you can't get it, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I'll take that. Do you know what I mean?
But you're not even a car guy though.
No, I just appreciate.
How did you not have a car up until you grew up in Sault Ste. Marie?
Well, I had a car in Sault Ste. Marie. I had a car there.
Oh yeah?
When I was in high school, I drove a 1995 Ford Explorer, it was a green Eddie Bauer edition Ford Explorer.
You had a Ford Explorer as your first car?
Yeah.
Why'd you have such a big car? Who would you get it?
It was my parents, what they drove, and I would just drive it all the time.
Yeah?
My dad also had like a gold Nissan, I forget what it was. It was like
Pathfinder?
No, it was a car.
Yeah.
And it was sick.
Like a sedan?
It was like old as shit, had a ton of kilometers on it. The odometer was broken. They didn't give me that because my mom was too worried that I'd get killed in it.
Yeah.
So she wanted me in the nicer one, it was like leather. It was nice. And I abused it. I didn't respect it too much. I was kind of like a...
Were you the guy... with early access to the car? So you'd be like, everyone would jump in. Like, would you take it to school and like at lunchtime?
All
like,
of my buddies
Jordan.
actually. All of my buddies had a car pretty
sure,
early
up there
on.
in Sault Ste. Marie, that's
Yeah.
small town, bro. For
So
sure,
a lot of
you have
people
cars.
were whipping in cars, yeah. So like, yeah, we all had. It was always easy to get around.
Dude.
But when I got to the city, no car. But my girlfriend has a Honda CR-V now.
Yeah, nobody here has a car. It's crazy. Now that I'm looking,
It's actually very convenient.
now that I'm looking for places, it's like nobody includes parking. Parking is like sometimes they look at me like why do you have a car? Like the way people like we're looking for a 2-bedroom right now. The way that the look people get when you ask about parking, they're like, you have a car? Like that's the look. It's like you have a car in the city. Yeah, Toronto standard street parking. Like they'll be like, what the fuck?
You know what
Nobody
though? Forget
has a
those
car.
people. They're dumb because you know what? A car's
I'm not
nice.
hurt by it.
A car's fucking nice, man.
What are you running on a clock here,
No,
bro?
my buddy just text me.
That's why I would never get the fucking
Oh, I
Apple
love
Watch. I hate that shit.
But
I don't want to be connected when my phone's not on me.
I'm connected to everything. I get stock updates.
I hate that.
Updates about everything.
No, I don't want it.
But having a car is so convenient, especially if you got to get like big grocery runs. And when you get a place, you have a little bit more room to store stuff, so you don't have to go out all the time. It's very convenient.
And it's just the mobility to leave out of town.
Goddamn
and
right.
The most important thing is, which hasn't really come into play a lot until these last week or two, is out of town gigs. When you fucking back in before COVID, like having a car was like a fucking dude. You're sought after, bro. Whoever has a car gets a spot.
If
at
you
the
had
show,
a car,
just drive someone.
If you had a car and you were funny,
Yeah.
that's
Oh.
like, and you could be somebody people like to hang out with. You're like a king.
Yeah, but then you got to be like established. You got not when you're low tier. You know what I mean? The tier system was in play back then,
love
right?
the
I'm like,
tier
you
system.
know, I'm like, I have a car and I think I'm all right. Then like, we'll see.
So what's going on with the out of town shows? Because I
They're
mean,
coming back piece by piece.
okay, so what's up with London? I remember you had the thing going on in there in London.
I hit up Pat Tiffin. Shout out to Pat Tiffin, who's like the fucking London godfather of comedy
controls
out
it.
there. Oh, he knows exactly. He knows what the moves. You know, like someone who knows exactly how everyone is moving there. You know, like the operations on every level.
How big is the scene?
Tiny,
Yeah.
tiny. Oh, tiny. Like you have to, if you're serious about comedy, and you live
to
in
go to
Toronto. If you live in London, you're not that serious about comedy. Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. You know, like there's like, when I was living there, 2 mics a week, maybe.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know, like impossible to actually get your chops out there.
Yeah.
But we'll
But
see.
Tiffin's got the.
He's got the hookup. I hit him up. I'm like, yo, what's going on right now out there? And everyone's kind of establishing stuff right now. And, you know, not to blow up our spot a little bit, but, you know, myself, you, and Max are looking at starting some stuff.
Because if we could, man, I would go to London every weekend. If there was a show in London,
You wouldn't go to London every weekend. It's a
Yeah.
4-hour round trip, bro.
who cares?
Why would you go to London every weekend?
If there's a show there,
Yeah.
and it was packed.
We're surrounded by packed shows.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
if that was the case,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that was all the option,
Yeah.
I would go every weekend, and I would go bi-weekly every month. Like, if we could do
Whatever the frequency of this
whatever
show
the
is,
frequency of
I
London
would
is.
match it.
Yes, because I think that that's something you need to do a bunch of shows in Toronto and shit. And yes, but it also helps to branch out.
Oh, 100%. But branching out means Hamilton. It means Kitchener. It means
Do we know
Barrie.
anybody that's doing anything in Hamilton? I know there's like a group, but like,
All
what are
those
they
boys,
talking about?
but the Hamilton boys, they're like close knit.
Yeah,
you see them
it's like a hockey team.
Yeah. They are fucking. When you see their shows, it's like there's not one non-Hamilton like comic on that lineup right there. They stay close knit. They're like a self-sufficient. They're like a family business. Hamilton comedy scene.
See, this is why I love Italians, because if there had been like a very heavy Italian presence, the Hamilton guys would be greased up enough that favors could, hey, I got a boss coming. I need him some stage time. You know, he'll be down there. Just talk to him. And then you get him on stage because you helped some other guy out. That's the way, minus the killing.
Yeah, right.
You
Like,
know what I mean?
you know what I love being the only novelty to things coming back is I like being the black guy on the show. you know, like there's I've talked about this
Like
too,
you
where
and
there's
Jay.
like, yeah, right. There's like a handful of black guys who are like, we get the work because like people in Toronto especially, they go, well, we can't do a show without a female and a black and a colored person, so to speak. So it's like you get these fake, it's almost like fake diversity. It's for the sake of a diversity budget.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, get him. It's like people I never communicate with or never socialize with, but they're asking me because I know they need a black guy.
And
it's great. I have no complaints. Keep giving me your black roles or black spots and black roles for acting.
Well, I was just thinking, like, because I haven't seen like Anthony Engelbright or like I saw Woodrow, but he didn't go up. I think
he did go up.
Did he?
Yeah, I saw him post. You know, like everybody's posted a picture of that park show.
Yeah.
You know, me included. Yeah. And I saw him with that picture, so I know he's gone up. But yeah, there's literally a small handful, and it with the politics, it used to be like these tier of things. Only like this section of the handful get access to these tier of things, and like we've said, all of that has reset. There used to be the high level, the mid tier, and the open mics. It's all reset.
What do you miss the most? What venue? Because we lost a lot of venues.
The Underground Cafe.
Yeah, I think I missed but it's between that and Vapor Central.
Yeah, no, for me, it's definitely the Underground Cafe. Vapor Central was nice, but Vapor Central was like, you're always hoping people are paying attention that day. And Underground, you always have their attention because it's actually a club vibe. And Vapor Central is a lounge vibe. So, like, you're performing and people are on the laptops like, and there's, like, a conversation in the back. And, like, you can't really interact with the people. But sometimes it's incredible. Sometimes it's incredible.
I was starting to figure myself out in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was starting to become, I was getting requested by the audience. I was starting to get my vibe of how to do my crowd work, which actually, now that I think about it, probably wasn't the best because I think in comedy, you do have to be very mindful of your process with anything, but especially in comedy because if you start killing it with crowd work and you start to get spots because of that, and then the host is like, do crowd work, eventually you're not going to be doing
you're cornering yourself, yeah.
So it was good to take a break, but
I never had a host be like, do crowd work or do your best. Actually, they will. Yeah, back in the day, it used to be like, kill, no new stuff. Remember that?
Yeah,
no new stuff. It'll be like Cameron or someone.
Like we're on a CBS show.
Yeah,
no new stuff. It's like, what?
Yeah, you're like, what? There's 8 people in the audience.
I'm new at this. Everything I do is new stuff.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't know where it's like when the host thinks that it's like a high level show or like, oh, these people are high profile. It's high. They pay. I don't know.
Sometimes like two comics have good credits and then everybody's got the same level because of that.
Sometimes the host gets the impression that this is not a game. This is the real deal. Yeah. This is Showtime. We're on TV. This is late night. So they'll go around one comic by one and be like, "God, no new stuff. All right, everyone. All right, just A stuff, no new stuff." You're like, and then everyone we just go, yeah. We just do exactly what we were gonna do anyway.
Or when they're nervous about the time, they're like, everybody do your time. Do 5. Just do 5. Tight 5.
Tight 5. Tight 5.
Tight 5s. You're like, you didn't like me. I was like, what did I do? You just walk off.
I'm excited for all this shit to come back. But you know what's been crazy though this whole time is you have actually been like jumping corporate job to corporate job this whole time.
Well, I'm trying to get more.
How do you do it, dude?
How do I do what?
How do you stay in that vibe? How? I was in it for years, and you have the similar kind of like.
Well, you did it younger.
I did do it younger.
Yeah.
I guess like, maybe right now it's like I would be able to find a better balance. You're saying?
I think the priority of where it lives in your mind would be different. Like, I got asked this a lot in the interviews. Was like, oh, how's acting and comedy going to affect your work? It's like when I'm working, and when I'm doing comedy, I'm doing comedy. Like, I don't know. How is your loving your wife affecting, work? It's the same question. You just want.
Do you ever actually say that?
No, but it's just
fucking your wife. How does it affect them?
I just think it's so funny when people ask
this guy's got a lot of charisma. HR in the back. Don't hire him. Don't go with him. He's too charismatic.
It's just funny, I think, when somebody asks a certain question that it's like, you're asking me in a way that I know you want a certain answer. Like when Sheldrick comes up to you and there's a comic.
Work is my priority. Yeah.
When Sheldrick comes up to you and there's a comic bombing, he's like, is he dying up there? And you're like, Sheldrick, you just want me to say he's dying up there because you want somebody
you want to laugh a little bit. Yeah.
You want somebody
you want a moment. Yeah.
So there's that, but also like I have come from working in bars and squandering like whatever to just make it happen for comedy. Now that comedy can't happen in the same velocity, I want to take care of like the back end. So I'm trying to have a steady income and support my life. Like,
So when you go to these places, everyone knows you do stand-up? Or you keep it on the DL?
I don't keep it on the DL, but I don't say like all I want to do is be a stand-up comedian and actor.
Yeah.
I did it some degree. Like there was one job where we were talking and I was like, I'm a stand-up comedian and actor. And if you want to think about a DJ, I'm trying to turn all these things up at the same time. My career in this or my whatever.
You have good analogies. That's how you keep getting these positions.
Charisma.
Like, turn it all up at once. I like him.
But here's the thing. It's like, why can't I be allowed to, if I have a movie role and they're like, we'll give you X amount of money, be like, well, I'll quit my job. Or if a job's like, hey, you want to be like a great position here, we'll give you a lot of money. Like, who's saying no to that? When did you have to live a life where you're like, I'm not going to try to be as good at this cafe guitar spot I got because X job wants me to be more committed mentally. Like, it's not how it works. I think you're actually more committed when you have something on the line. Like, I want to take acting classes, so I want to hit these bonuses to be able to afford it. So, I mean, I have more stake in the game than say somebody's just out of university. Like, yeah, my parents are going to help me pay my debt and whatever.
You got to have skin in the game.
Yeah. So, like, I just kind of letting it happen as it happens. And
I admire that.
Yeah, there's better jobs. What it takes away from, though, is...
But it's all work from home now, though, too, right?
For now, yeah, there'll be some capacity for going back, I think. But it takes away from, I'm not doing my podcast all the time and I'm not doing content, but I, for some reason, think that I don't need to. Like, my mind is really centered towards the marketing side of things and the development of a brand. So... once I master that, I feel like I will be more comfortable to...
But it takes decades to master anything.
Master more in the sense of just... I use that
get
as
a handle
the
on
term
it
of feel comfortable to start, hey, this is what we do in the podcast, and just allow myself to live in it.
Gotcha.
Because, like, what I realized before was how much I was chasing the emotion of it. With comedy, you're out every night, because what you were saying earlier... You're out every night because the feeling of, we're going to feel terrible if I'm not out tonight.
Yeah. It's like a race.
Gonna judge
they're going to get ahead of me.
Yeah. And then the only person who's going to get ahead of you and the only person who's going to judge you is you.
You're the only one in your way.
And I'm starting to realize that, like, I don't have to, I'm getting it, eh?
Yeah.
I don't have to.
As your point, like, as you come closer to your conclusion, you get further from the mic. You're like, and here's the thing.
I'm realizing, like, I don't have to rush. Like, I could be 40 and launch a podcast, and it could happen.
Love it.
It doesn't matter. It's, am I funny? And do people see that? And they're like, oh, you seem like you'd be a good actor. It's like, I'm an actor. It's like, oh, that's what I want to be. I want to be those things. And the other shit is just kind of on top of it.
I respect that, dude. I respect that, You prioritize the financial backing, as you said it. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because, dude, I've had a taste of the money. And I was like, I'd rather have no involvement. I'd rather have no, like, if I can pay my bills, that's it. And I'm going to focus 100% on incremental growth. You know what I mean? Like, that's the route I'm going. And I'm confident we're literally ending up in the same place.
It's
kind
of cool to watch it
ends up in
like
the same place. Yeah. It's just, I've been getting exposed to a feeling of this corporate shit since I was 18, since I had to start doing co-op up until the point of 26, 8 years of it between school and that, you're like, good riddance to this shit, I'll forego all the money just to be like, oh, the only thing I'm actually working on today, like designs when you came and whatever, right? I like the idea of just step by step, tiny step, working towards making this thing bigger and come together just through the effort of trial and error. I don't.
But this thing is your brand, is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I don't like it is, but I don't. I just like when I use the word brand, I feel like it has a corporate vision. Like I have a corporate vision where I'm lining out my goals explicitly, and
there's a part of that.
There always is. Like that's depending on the approach you take. I avoid using the word brand, but it really is. It really is the same thing. I'm just talking about the creative thing I'm doing. I'm doing it on all these, like same thing as you. I'm acting. I'm doing stand-up. I got the podcast, and it all comes together somehow. And I don't know. And every day I work towards making this fucking triangle close and be self-sustaining. You know that thing Iron Man built in a fucking cave in Iron Man 1? The thing? Like, I'm trying to make all my creation that thing that powers me financially and everything. You know what I mean? Like, just... And it's nowhere near there, but I like tinkering away at it. And in the meantime, I'll just fucking stay away because this money doesn't do shit for me, bro.
I think that everybody's got to figure out like how you're going to realize that thing you want. Like just how you have that plan in your mind. Like same thing for if the plan is I'm just going to go with it, be honest that that's what the plan is so that when you end up somewhere that doesn't feel emotionally right, you're pissed. But you're like, I'm mad because I knew that this is where it was going to end up. So there's a balance to that. But you have to also just like, I think we're lucky that we get to have a bit of attention from the right community. You know what I mean? Like if the comedy community didn't pay attention to us or ever give us spots, it's all for nothing. Like that's why you need YouTube and you need somebody to audience you. You need somebody to be like, yes, you do this. This is funny. And how you decide to get those people is kind of up to everybody.
It's up to you. Yeah, exactly.
And
the eyes, how you get eyes.
How you get eyes. And trying to figure that out is like, you know, am I going to do it through acting? Am I going to do it through Mike Rita, who's really probably the most grassroots person, you know?
Oh, he just did it just through like touring.
No promotions on Instagram or no like come do this or that. He just puts stuff up. It's not that regular. It's
a decade plus of stand-up, doing it constantly. You build a following.
Yeah. And that's like, you have to see all of these things to really be like, well, where do I fit into this? Same thing with corporate. It's like, where do you fit into this? And I think that creative people get away from asking themselves that because there's something that lacks creativity about planning for some of us artists like that. We're like, well, I don't want to plan it all because like the whimsy of allowing it to be in the moment. It's like, yeah.
That only gets you so far.
It only gets you so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have a balance.
But again, like I do commend you because I fucking could not do, dude. I can't fucking. Oh, that corporate game, dude. But like I was talking in the last episode, I do miss working with good people. You know, when you have a sick team and like you work with competent people, and it almost feels like a relay. Like
like you're doing
we're all
stuff.
competent, and we're getting record time here. Like that feeling a little bit where you on just one sprint, one zoomed in package of something you're doing, some sort of productivity. It's the zoom out that I hate, where it's like, all right, we're working towards a project this year. Every 3 months, the aims are going to change. The milestones are going to shift. And I need you all to recalibrate your own motivation to meet this shit. I'm like, I'm done. No, I can't do that shit. I can't do that shit.
I think there's also this, like capitalism takes the morality out of, you know, the whole purpose sometimes. Like, you're like, why do we need 10,000 employees at this thing? You know, or like, is it really to cover the globe? Is that how this works? Like, is
just trying to take over the world?
Is every business meant to just be like max?
Yeah, let's just take over the world. Like, is that always the end goal of the business?
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, so we're just always going to turn into a call center? Is that what this is? It's like, you forget. That's why it's actually interesting and why this all feels like it just compacts into acting and comedy is you have to just experience all these different things to be able to talk to people. Like, yeah, so working in a corporate job feels like X, Y, and Z. And a lot of people who work in corporate jobs are like, fuck, that guy gets it. Why does he get it so much? Versus a comedian who's been a comedian since they're 16 years old. And, you know, they've been doing that the whole time.
Yeah, it's like
different.
What's it called? Where it's like a built muscle.
Yeah.
It's like muscle memory at that point.
Yes, and you just know how to perform.
To be honest, though, stand-up for me is like stand-up and podcasting are the truth.
The truth.
Acting, and I know you're gung-ho about acting, bro. The truth is, I like acting on a limited level. You know what I fucking hate about acting, dude? I hate getting an audition where you have to conjure up some like neck. I hate crying in an audition that requires you to cry and then never hearing back. That's what I fucking hate.
That's
about
why I like it.
This emotional roller coaster you have to put yourself through. I'm like, fuck that. Let me write some shit that I think is great. Make it. People say it's not that good. Do it again. People say it's not that good. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth one, just like everything else in life, bound to get better and evolve.
Yeah.
Rather than just this fucking... I'm trying to model my career off of... I'm trying to like Danny McBride and Louis C.K. Danny McBride's
hilarious.
Movies, hilarious shows, puts his very similar crew.
Brand.
They get it done. fucking awesome, funny, great shows, look like they're fun to shoot. Louis C.K., same with the show, amazing stand-up. I'm trying to combine those two where I don't think either of those guys are out auditioning all the time. They're more thinking like, what's a good thing I can create? And I want to get into that more once this Not Working web series is done. I'm actually working on it right now. So we'll see how that ends up and what comes of that. But in the meantime, I got to be honest with you, bro. When I get these 5-6 page fucking auditions for like a dramatic part that has no comedy, I'm like, fuck. I treat it exactly the same, and my girl sees this too, exactly the same as a project in school where I leave it to the last second and I fucking memorize the lines and
bang it out.
Do 3-4 takes with the lines memorized and then just use the final take.
But that's why I like it, is because it seems so hard to get it. And it is hard to do well. I know Seinfeld has often said, like, acting, anybody can do it. It's like, yes, anybody can do it. But can anybody do the role that is required of X scene? No, they can't. Like, there's a level of technical that I'm attracted to creative, technical, difficult stuff. Like, comedy is technically difficult. There's a technical way that makes it happen way better.
Yes.
And when you see somebody do it in their way and they line it up, you're like, that's, we talk about Rita. He can do it and he does it in that very quick. He's talking very fast. He's sharp. He's like a big shark out there.
And the laugh comes when he knows the laugh
comes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with acting. It's like, can I get a reaction to happen in the scene, let alone get the actual role to try to do that again over here? It's just like so hard. That's why I'm attracted to it. And I love to give myself up to these really hard things because I think I have this like desperate need to prove that I can do kind of shit like that for myself. So I wasn't very good at acting when I first started, when I was auditioning, because I don't emote very well. I can excite, but when it comes to being like sad, only a few things make me really sad. So I had to work on that and just continue to work on that. But it can't be this unsolvable puzzle forever where I never get a role and I never star in a movie. I'm curious if that ever happens.
It will. Repetitions will get you there inevitably, like everything in life.
So, but I agree with you. Like, you're not excited about all of them all the time, but I'm attracted to this very difficult. Some guys are like, I got to jump out of a plane. Or
to get that thrill?
To get that thrill. I get that through like, hey, I'm terrified of doing this scene. I don't know any of you. I don't even think I can do this, but let's try it. And let me not try to convey how nervous I am.
See, I like the acting class vibe. I've taken a bunch of acting classes when I first moved here. I like that vibe. It's a community. I like it. I actually act better when I'm in front of people. I'm like, okay, I can't mail this in. I got to go for it.
Try it.
And then they're going to tell me I'm going to do my best. And then from there, they're going to tell me what I could do better. But getting a fucking random dramatic part at home where they're telling you, muster these, you're thinking about this. Tears are beginning to... Nothing makes me sadder than crying for a part and never hearing back. Dude, at least fucking... How are you gonna... Like, I'm never gonna do that again. I'm just gonna convey sadness, but I actually conjured tears for this, like, one I did a month ago where it was like, I had to go to dark places to get these tears. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This is like... This is not... No, this is not good. I was, like, in a fucked up place for, like, 48 hours.
You would have loved my... teacher.
Fuck that.
I just had. She said, never do that.
Yeah.
She said if there's something that she realized where it's if you're trying to obviously substitute and subtract or add and subtract. So it's like if a guy gets hit by a car, I know what that feels like. I've been hit by a car. So I can put that in my mind. This happened to me. But she said if that brings you emotional hardship, don't go there. She's like, just go, go halfway.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't match what the scene's energy is, then
be it.
It just is what it is.
Gotcha.
And
well, then I fucking...
She has a ton of theater training. So I was expecting her to, methodology us and give us the philosophy. But she was just like, no, this is just scenes and their words and there's cues and stuff that make it happen. And then you realize the comedy of it all. Even if it's dramatic, you're like, we're just trying to turn the key to open the door. Same thing with the jokes. It's like, if the scene is, this character loves you, I have to show love. How am I doing that? And can I do it? I like that. It's like, because how many times are we going to fail till you realize like it's just...
I can tell you're in an acting class right now.
Oh,
just
yeah. I'm just pumped
how
about it.
amped you are about this. That's acting class energy you're throwing at me right now. I haven't done one in like 2 years, and I've probably done 100 auditions in that time. I'm jaded, and all I know is I'm jaded, bro. The audition call, in my mind, I'm like trying to book it for the sake of like paying rent. I'm like, okay, it says for tears. For me to conjure these tears, I don't know how to do it halfway. I don't know how to do it without going to that place.
But first of all, you get those auditions. That's impressive.
Yeah,
they
but it's
want
like-
you to do. They think you can do it. That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't even look at it like that. I look at it
You
as
gotta.
like I look at it as they want a
black
They like
guy.
to see.
That's
No. I'm probably all the people are like black or something like that, or some sort of.
They look at
visible
you and you're
minority.
like, this guy can do it. He's good.
The way I see it is they want to see options. They want to see the range of what's out there. I don't see it as they've chosen me. Oh my God, they've looked at my picture and chosen me.
No, they
I
have.
look at it as they want to see what's out there.
No.
Yeah, they want to see what's out there.
First of all,
you know,
these people. Okay, so perfect example is a corporate world. First of all, these people that do these like auditions and they look at it have
You're talking about
already
casting directors?
they already have no time for their own job. So like their job is to watch X amount of people who are supposed to fill the role. They already don't have time for that. So they are
based on what? What's taking up the time?
they just have other things to think about. It's like a
But
manager.
that's their job, though.
Think about this for a second. You've worked in corporate jobs. What
Yes.
do managers do? Pretty much everything except their job.
Fucking emails.
Because
dude.
they just fill their day up with other stuff.
create meetings.
Because everybody is realistically in a position that's like 30% of what they really like to do. And because they've gained authority in that position, they usually leverage the authority to do other stuff. And they've all done it and they fill their day up. That's why they're like, it has to be good in the first few seconds because I don't have time to watch it.
Yeah.
So they're definitely not taking more than their share of what they have to do. They look at you specifically, they're like, a boss we think can do this. Every time they look at your resume, they're like, he can do this role. We see him as this character. We want to see him as this character. That's the way it is. So that's why I like to work because I don't want to have to get it to move my life forward. I just want to be able to say, hey, Paige, our agent, this is how much progress I've made since the last one. And this is how much until one day she's like selling me to the point of, well, I've seen him grow. You got to check this out. This is good. That's what I realized the game is. Same thing with the gatekeepers we realized in comedy. At some point, you're performing for the Joey Harlems and the Puff Mamas because they booked the show. You're not performing for like the audience. At some point, you're like, I got to show this person.
Yes, that I'm the bee's knees or whatever. That I got it, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I like that.
I'm right there with you, okay? And I never think twice about a role. When I submit it, I've done so many fucking auditions. You got to let that shit, as soon as I submit, let it fade into the ether. But when you conjure tears for an audition,
Just not letting
it's
the tears-
different. This was the only audition I've had to do this.
Yeah.
Where I was like, it's like, give me a call back. You know what I mean? At least give everybody a call back that conjured the tears.
Yeah,
And
but-
never book him again. Let me get that $50
But,
check.
man,
Ooh, you know what I mean? Like
think of
that's
what-
the only one that had and your teacher's advice was great. I wish I heard that shit
Yeah.
before. When you have some sort of emotional connection to the piece you make, it's hard to throw it into the ether. You're like, okay, at least tell me a no. At least respond and be like, no. Because you know, in the acting game, when you submit something they don't like or something that's not good enough, you just never hear back.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. No one says no. I want the no. Tell me the no. Tell me you suck. I'll be
Well,
like, damn, I cried and they said you suck, and now I have a story at least.
Well, you just don't like the version of the no that you got.
Yeah, I want a real no for this one.
And for some reason, that
It's just gone. What
I
if someone
like
in my
that.
mind, I'm like, nobody ever watched that?
I like that.
They're so busy. No one even. What if they watched the guy cry in the first 10 seconds? They're like, that's the tears we want. I'm just fucking. I'm 8 videos later. They didn't even click on it.
So-
I'm home fucked up eating popcorn.
What that means to me is eventually that's gonna be me. So at some point there's gonna
You're gonna
be
book, bro.
But
Bro,
that's for you too.
5 years from now?
Do you know how many people can't say that they've had hundreds of auditions and some of them get 5-page auditions? A boss, for a guy that doesn't really care about it or want foot forward with that, you're gonna get something. It's
yeah, I mean, I've gotten stuff, and I'm
good.
not mad at that.
No, I know, but you're gonna
Yeah.
get something where you're like, "Fuck, I don't even know if I want to do this." It's a recurring thing, and I got to work on it all the time.
Dude, I just submitted a thing for that had 40 scenes or 30 scenes, and I'm like, fuck, I hope I don't book this. Fuck. 30 scenes? I just fucking spent a day memorizing these 6 pages and dropping them. I don't want this. That's the truth. I don't want it. And I even tell my agent, don't give me anything over 5 pages. I don't want it. I don't want it. Unless it's comedic, there's no limit on comedy.
Listen, what if you start saying yes to those opportunities and you get one, and the guy or girl or they or whoever on set is a person whose brother has a thing in LA for comedy? You don't know where the story's going. So you gotta let yourself, because if those opportunities are trying to come to you,
you're saying say yes to everything because you don't know what'll come.
Not yes to everything, but when you are at the stage that you're at, where you could probably be getting a little bit better auditions if you just said, okay, I'll do bigger ones. If you got a bigger role at those rooms you get to be in with people, what do? Hey, I'm a comedian. Like,
I don't want to be in those rooms.
It's very helpful for you.
I don't want to be in a big, right now where I'm at, I don't want to be in a big part that I didn't write, okay?
But if you get it, right? If you got it and you nailed it, why don't you want to be in it if you deserve it?
I wouldn't even want to do it. I don't want to do anything dramatic because I want to be focusing on stand-up. You know how much time it takes to get on Tuesday, 3 p.m., they go, here's a 6-page thing that's due Thursday, 10 a.m. I can't do it tonight. I need my girlfriend to read the other sides. So now I got to do it. Now tomorrow night is this thing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night is this thing now. That a part I'm not even interested in. I don't want all that to be happening in my week twice a week. I don't want that. I do not want that. You know what? You know the way I figured this thing is going to go down is you're going to book a lot of small parts, a small 2 lines, 3 lines. And then once you build your repertoire with those, they're going to see you for more supporting roles where you have more time on screen, where you're more trusted.
Just be careful with that, because that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if you're, sometimes people don't see you as that. Sometimes they look at your thing and you're like, oh, fuck, a boss is already a supporting role. Or a boss is already somebody
I'm reading for those. I just don't want to read for a lead because I'm not going to get a lead because I have one booked fucking 1-line thing. Who's gonna book me as a lead?
Hey, you don't know if the casting director's specific. Like,
if they're booking me as a lead, they have fucking, I don't know what's going on with this production. Think about this for a second,
bro. If you had enough money where a short you were making could fund to have a few actors where you could pay them, and you had a guy that had like 1 credit, but you talk to him or a girl, whatever, and you're like, hey, how's it going, whatever, and they gave you the impression that they could do it, and they only had 1 credit. And you as the creative are looking for somebody that, is probably undervalued. Wouldn't you take this chance? Like, that's what I mean. You got to be able to put yourself in their shoes as the creative people. Like, they don't look at you the way you look at you, like a fucking McDonald's commercial. They look at you like, maybe nobody's given this guy this chance yet. And if we do it and he knocks it out of the park, like, they're thinking you're the next whatever, even if
they don't take risks like that in Canada.
I know, Canada's different.
They don't take risks in Canada.
I don't think about it.
You got to be, they do not take risks in Canada. You have to have been cop number 2 before to be cop number 1. You have to have been paramedic number 2 to be doctor. Like, they don't take risks here, okay? So it's like, give me more opportunities to audition and book smaller parts and build my repertoire in a way that I think it actually makes sense. Make me more comfortable on set on a small level before I go there on a big level.
I agree with that.
So why am I fucking auditioning for all these big things that are wasting my time? I'm not interested in them, so the audition's not going to be good. You know?
Well, I'm thinking
it's got a little bit of a corporate vibe to it. That's why I don't.
I'm thinking from the perspective that you're ready to do it, so that's why you're getting it, and you are doing a good job.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking if it's like that far out of the scope of it.
Bro, you're going to start one of these years, you're going to be booking so much.
Hopefully.
Acting, your comedy, your stand-up is going to get hurt.
It'll definitely affect
that. No, I'm saying I'm already seeing that. Where it's like, Policicchio, man, you haven't been on stage. Like, you're on set all the time. Because you're going to book a lot. I think I see that.
Hopefully,
you're going to book a lot. No, you're going to book a lot. Trust me.
Knock on wood.
You're that guy. I can see it 100%.
My skin tone's
You'd
not
be the guy,
trending
bartender, whatever. Yeah, but still, they still gotta make. They're still white guys. They're just not like put up front now. They're like.
I want that because I want the clout from acting to get on stage.
Yeah, I say fuck that. Fuck that. I'd rather the clout from my podcast, which is going straight to people.
Yeah, true.
Rather than you see me playing Steven on some fucking high school drama. You know what I mean? Like, hear my actual thoughts and feelings.
No, I mean amongst us.
Yeah, no, I know.
So like the bookers are like, fuck, I love that show that you're on. I'm like, hey,
but by that point that you're booking, you'll already be a good enough comic that it'll be like, let's just put together a tour and let's just fucking
Yeah,
go out there
hopefully.
and let's grassroots build 50 people 50 people per show love us, and your audience builds 50 at a time. You know, it builds 50 at a time. Fuck this thing off. I can't wait to book a big thing and then they'll see me. That's not gonna happen. But what will happen?
I get these senses, man. Like I don't know, but when I got certain jobs, I just said like to myself, yeah, something's gonna take me away from it, and I do have a sense we are gonna tour sooner than later. And some good stuff's happening. It's just I think COVID let us Tetris the mind a little bit. It's now in a nice tight box.
Yeah, it's all gonna come together. That's why I'm saying I'm pushing. My whole approach is incremental growth. One podcast a week, make my shit, get on stage, and everything will fucking fall into place, my friend. Everything will fall into place. There's nothing stronger than compound interest.
Nothing.
You know? Nothing. Ooh, that's a good way to end it, dog.
Buddy.
Yo, tell the people where to find you, man.
Just Jordan Policicchio on YouTube, LinkedIn, evidently, if you want to be sold something. We're going to try to launch some shows in Toronto. I got the Don't Be Sorry podcast. You want to listen to old episodes. More stuff to come. We're rolling. I think there's going to be some more media for the old Mad Funny boys. So we know.
Oh, we're going with that name?
It just feels good right now. So
what do you guys think
roll
about the name grouping of shows in Toronto called Mad Funny?
Mad Funny.
Have we Googled it? Has that been taken?
I mean, I'm sure.
Watch some hateful person right now.
We
Toronto,
would know
lock
about
that
it in
shit down.
Toronto, right?
Mad Funny Toronto. Let's see if it's available. Check it out. But yo, from my end, as always, if you want to support the show directly or get bonus episodes, check out patreon.com/the Immigrant Section. And if you haven't yet, smash subscribe plus follow, whatever it is. And if it's on Apple, hook it up with 5 stars. Jordan, this has been a pleasure, dog. Let's do this shit again. I'll see you on stage probably tomorrow. Sundays at nothing.
Is it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Is it open mic?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Okay, sick.
Let's get it. All right.
I might not be there. It's Father's Day tomorrow.
This guy, you don't want it, man. You don't want it. Yo, until next time, y'all have been the best.
Peace. Thank you.
Yo, and that's the episode. Remember, if you liked it, smash that subscribe button so I can give you updates. And until next time, it's your boy, Abbas Wahab. Easy.